I would like to talk about bringing the circumstances alive. There's a moment that every actor hopes for, when the words on the page stop feeling like words. The room disappears, the scene stops being something that you feel like you're acting. Your scene partner is no longer simply just another actor. Something's at risk, you need something, you fear something, or you desperately need something to change. That is when the circumstances of the story come alive. For an actor, this is one of the most important transformations to learn how to accomplish. Moving from simply understanding the circumstances to truly living within them. A script might tell you the character is just discovering that their partner has been unfaithful. It might tell you that you're standing at the wake of a loved one who was recently murdered. It might tell you that you have 1 minute to convince someone that you love to take you back. Those are the facts. But the art of acting begins when you can make those facts into circumstances that you can actually inhabit. The circumstances are more than the setting. Actors sometimes think that the circumstances are the basic information supplied by the script. Where the scene takes place, who is present, what time of day it is, and what is happening. Yes, those are important details, but they only serve as a frame of reference. Circumstances go deeper. They include everything that your character embodies. What they know, what they believe, what they need, what they fear, what they remember, and possibly what they misunderstand at this moment. Imagine a character walking into a restaurant. On paper, that seems very straightforward. But now, fill in the circumstances. They're meeting their estranged father who they haven't seen in 15 years. Or they're meeting someone that they secretly love. Or they're waiting for a person who has promised that they would return but never has. Or they just received a diagnosis and they haven't told anyone about it. The restaurant has not changed. The chair is still a chair, the table is still a table, the waiter still carries around the menus, but the actor's world has completely changed. It colors how the character enters the restaurant. It colors how they sit down at the table, how they hold the menu. That is how the circumstances come alive. The external environment of what is given, it transforms as a result of the internal meaning that the character gives it. The facts are a springboard. One of the most useful things that an actor can do when they do their script analysis is to acknowledge the facts, then build in meaning. This always involves a full investigation of the play or screenplay, then engaging in a combination of empathy and a wonderful exploratory adverb. Perhaps the fact might be, my character's mother died 3 years ago. But what does that fact mean to the character? Perhaps the character feels guilty because they were not there. Perhaps they feel relieved because the relationship was abusive. Perhaps they've never allowed themselves to grieve. Perhaps everyone assumes that they're devastated, but privately they feel free for the first time. Perhaps they believe that their mother's death was their fault. The deeper meaning is where the craft of acting actually thrives. Notice the freedom that perhaps provides. The actor is not required to find the right answer. It's through the process of weighing the options that fires up the actor's imagination, and the quote-unquote right answer most likely materializes in the option that moves the actor the most. This is why two actors can have two completely different interpretations of a specific circumstance, while at the same time remaining faithful to the script. They may agree on the facts, but they each may have discovered different emotional relationships to those facts. The actor's job is not to decorate the circumstances. It is to Ask questions to understand why those circumstances have weight. The question behind the question. When working on a scene, it's always important to feel what's happening underneath the lines rather than just taking them at face value. So if your character says, "I'm fine," don't automatically assume that your character is fine. Ask yourself, why am I saying this? Who am I saying it to? What do I want them to believe? What am I afraid will happen if I let them see the truth? Am I trying to reassure them? Am I trying to reassure myself? Am I angry that they even asked? Am I begging them not to ask another question? A simple, well-crafted line can contain an entire world within it. The actor's responsibility is to discover that world without forcing it on the audience. You don't have to show your analysis. You simply have to live truthfully and inhabit that world that your analysis has helped to build. Let's talk about Tennessee Williams' Blanche Dubois. One powerful example of bringing the circumstances to life can be found in Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire. In Blanche Dubois' final confrontation with Stanley, the actor playing Blanche should not simply display the fear, the desperation, or the instability of the character. Instead, she should focus on what Blanche desperately needs to preserve her dignity, to maintain her fantasy of escape, and to convince herself that she still has control over her life. Blanche enters the play carrying and covering years of loss, rejection, guilt, and insecurity. Stanley's knowledge of her past threatens the fragile fantasy world that she has constructed. Her circumstances, therefore, are constantly shifting. Each new thing that Stanley confronts her about forces her to adjust, defend herself, or find another way to maintain her fantasy. This is a great example of what it means to live through the circumstances rather than demonstrate them. The actor does not need to manufacture Blanche's desperation. By understanding what she needs, what she fears losing, and what has just happened to her, the life should naturally unfold. The audience does not need to be shown that Blanche is breaking down. The actor only needs to surrender and experience what it feels like for her to realize that her world is falling apart. The playwright gives the actor the circumstances, and it's the actor's job to make those circumstances meaningful. Create the life before the scene. One of the simplest and yet most important ways to bring circumstances alive is to imagine what happened immediately before the scene starts. Let's say, for example, that the script says John enters, but John didn't just materialize in the doorway. He came from somewhere. What was he doing 30 seconds ago? What was he thinking about in the car? Did he hesitate just before knocking on the door? Did he almost leave? Was he angry? Was he rehearsing what he planned to say before he walked in? Did he receive a phone call? Did something happen on the way in that changed his mood? Even when the audience never sees the scene before the scene, the actor can still explore it. In this case, when in doubt, the actor can explore what's referred to as a previous circumstance exercise. Spend 15 minutes living within John's circumstance of being in the car on the way to his destination. What is consuming him? Notice what comes up in the exercise, and then allow it to inform how John enters. Those imagined moments affect the body. John enters with a history that propels him through the scene. So the script begins wherever the playwright chooses, but the actor must always know that the character's life is continuous. the power of the environment. The actor should never underestimate the environment. A room can hold so much history. A kitchen might be where your character learned to cook with their grandmother. A bedroom might be where they were once grounded as a teenager. A hospital corridor might remind a character of someone they lost. A train station might remind someone of their most painful goodbye. Considering the physical environment in this way becomes an essential and powerful layer in the actor's process. If the character knows every corner of the room, you would move through it differently than someone seeing it for the first time. And it is this kind of specificity that truly helps build life into the circumstances. Let the other actor derail you. Circumstances come truly alive when they are allowed to move and to change. This is where listening becomes so essential. An actor can spend hours and hours creating a detailed inner life and still give a lifeless performance if they are not allowing themselves to be genuinely affected by their scene partner. You must be willing to discover the scene rather than simply execute it. Your scene partner is there to help change your circumstances. Always remember that homework and rehearsal helps build a solid foundation so that you can let go and treat the event of the scene as if it's happening for the first time. A generous scene partner will constantly surprise and derail you. That is something that every actor should pray for. Allowing yourself to be derailed means that you are letting the circumstances unfold just like in real life. Your homework and your rehearsal process will be there to support you. That's the magic of the art of acting. Bringing it all together. When an actor walks into a scene, they should not merely arrive with their lines memorized. They should arrive filled up with life. They should know where they have come from. They should know what they need. They should know what they fear. They should understand what just happened. They should have a relationship with the space. They should have expectations about the person that is opposite them. And most importantly, they should be willing to have those expectations disrupted. That is how the circumstances come alive. Through specificity, imagination, listening, stakes, and allowing what happens in the scene to genuinely affect what happens next. You enter the scene knowing what it means to the character, and then you allow the scene to compel you to put yourself out there and put something on the line. That is when acting stops being a presentation of words, and that is when a world begins to come alive. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Click on the description below for links to our website and to learn more about the New Collective Acting Studio and our private coaching membership. Consider joining us as a founding member on our new platform called School and help me build a transformative acting program to support all actors at all levels and fall in love with the craft again. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.